my nails, by the way. I totally was gonna remove my nail polish before recording this video, and I just realized I didn't. So yeah, please excuse my horribly chipped nails. They're awful. So if you've watched any of my videos recently, you probably have noticed that I've been living in a hotel for the past month-ish. My husband and I are getting ready to move into our first house, which is extremely exciting, but our jobs started before the closing date on the house. So we needed to move to Pennsylvania in June, even though we weren't actually going to be able to move into our house until July. Unfortunately, the rent price for apartments here is super duper high, and we couldn't find any apartments in the area that would do a 1-month lease instead of 2 months. So ultimately, staying in a hotel was the cheaper option. So by the time we leave, I'll have lived in this hotel with my husband and our dog for 34 days. So today I'm going to give you guys 5 tips for hotel living to make your life a little bit easier. My first tip applies before you actually decide on the hotel you're going to stay at, and that's consider what you want and need out of a hotel. For instance, a lot of people tend to expect complimentary breakfast when they get a hotel. The place Eric and I are staying at right now does not have free breakfast, and we're okay with that because I'm not a huge breakfast eater anyway. I actually don't eat breakfast most days, and he just eats cereal, so it's not like we're losing a lot of money there having to buy our own breakfast. What we really wanted was free Wi-Fi. That was the big deal breaker for us. There was another hotel that was kind of in the running when we were selecting where we wanted to stay, but for each device you had to pay extra for Wi-Fi. And we're millennials. We have 2 laptops, 2 phones, some gaming systems, so it was going to be pretty costly for us to pay $10 extra per week per device. So we ultimately wound up picking this hotel over the other one because we just didn't want to pay that much for Wi-Fi. I said the biggest thing for us was Wi-Fi, but I just realized the biggest thing for us was actually if the hotel is pet friendly or not. So that's definitely something to consider. You don't want to have to pay for someone to take care of your pet for a whole month. So really kind of mentally list what your priorities are. Obviously, our biggest priority was whether or not it's pet friendly, followed by free Wi-Fi, and then everything else after that was kind of like, it's nice, but it's not a necessity. Definitely read the fine print on the hotels that you're looking at. We didn't even know until the day we got here that we weren't going to have complimentary breakfast. And like I said, it's not the end of the world, but it was something that I was thinking like, oh, nice, we're going to have like free breakfast every day, and then we didn't. So yeah, make sure you know exactly what you can expect out of the hotels that you're looking at. My next tip is one that took me a couple days to figure out, and that's don't act like you're on vacation. We have this kind of mental association with hotels and being on vacation, which totally makes sense, but it can kind of lead to us ordering food a lot instead of eating in, or laying in the bed all day being lazy and doing nothing but watching HGTV. So there are lots of little things that you can do to get yourself out of that vacation mindset so you can still be productive. For me, the biggest thing was unpacking my clothes. Normally, if I stay in a hotel, even if it's for like an entire week, I kind of live out of my suitcase, but that does create this feeling like this is not really a home. This place is really nice in that it has a dresser and a pretty big closet, so we have lots of space to store our clothes. This actually accomplished 2 things, because not only did it make the place feel more homey and less like a vacation, but it also freed up a lot of space. Because before that, we'd had 2 suitcases taking up all this floor space, and they were open, and our clothes were kind of pouring out everywhere. Once we got everything packed up, we had so much more floor space, and it was just more organized and easier to get to our clothes. Another kind of little thing for me is that when I was growing up, when I was on vacation, my mom would always close the blackout curtains at the hotel, which helps you get a really, really good night's sleep. But then the next morning, she would always open them at like 9 a.m. and the sunlight would come streaming in, and it made it so hard for me to get up because I realize now that I am the type of person who likes to like wake up with the sun. So for the first 2 nights I came here, I was like, well, this is a hotel, gotta close the blackout curtains. And then after like 2 mornings of being like, oh my gosh, it's still dark in here because my mom hasn't opened the curtains for me, I realized, oh, just because I'm in a hotel doesn't mean I have to close the blackout curtains. So now we close like 1 blackout curtain and one of these like sheer curtains so we get a little bit of sunlight, but not like too much sunlight at once. Just those little kind of habits that we get into when we're on vacation, try to break those and treat it more like the way you would treat your actual house. My third tip is plain and simple, be organized. When you're in a hotel, every little bit of space counts. So definitely do whatever you can to make sure you have as much floor space as possible, and in the kitchen you have as much counter space as possible so that you aren't going crazy and feeling really cramped all the time. For me, this involved obviously putting up my clothes, getting the suitcases out of the way. We brought our own hangers actually, because the hotel has some hangers but not a lot. So we brought our own to make sure we could hang as much clothing as physically possible. We also brought some storage cubes from our apartment so things weren't scattered all across the floor. We could just kind of shove them into a cube. It might not be very organized inside the cube, but at least things aren't all over the floor. And a big tip that you'll hear if you ever watch videos about like living in a tiny home is really utilize your vertical space. So for instance, in our kitchen, we stored things not only inside the cabinets, but actually on top of the cabinets as well. And it actually kind of looks cool too. I feel like it adds some personality to the hotel, so that's neat. Time for quick tips that require no further explanation. Bring your own toilet paper. Bring earplugs or get a white noise app. Don't cook something that creates a lot of steam. Bring your own trash can. Bring multiple forms of entertainment. Don't forget a sweater if you're living with someone who likes it cold. Bring a laundry basket. Don't waste money on hotel snacks. And now back to our regularly scheduled tips. My next tip is have a part of the hotel that feels like it's your own. This is especially important if you're sharing the space with someone. If Eric and I were staying in a hotel for a weekend, we would probably just both hang out on the bed and watch YouTube videos on our laptops. But since we're here long term, we kind of split the room up almost into our own separate sections. Not like on a TV sitcom where there's like caution tape across the room, like get your mess out of my side of the room. But we do have our own sort of areas. My area is this cute little chair, which is also by my side of the bed. So this bedside table is great because I can use it from the bed and the chair. And this chair is awesome because it can recline and the armrests are wide and flat, so you can actually put a mouse on top of them. So I spend so much time in that chair, and I feel like it's really good for me because it gets me out of the bed. I can be more productive and kind of have an area where I work and play, and then a separate area where I sleep. Everyone says that's important to not hang out in your bed all day, so that's what I've been doing. I've been spending most of my time in that reclining chair. Eric took what I believe was originally intended to be a dining room table and has kind of turned it into a desk for himself. We actually have this nice desk chair that came with the hotel, so he's been sitting in that a lot. And for him, the location is perfect because it's right next to the TV, so he can easily play video games either on his computer or on the PS4. Even Bear kind of has his little area, and one kind of mini tip is if you're bringing pets, bring as much of their things as possible. Bear has definitely been anxious the whole time that we're living here. He always hears people out in the hallway, knocking on the doors, you know, saying, oh, room service or whatever, or just guests being so there's always stuff going on out in the hallways. He's always trying to bark at them, let us know, oh, someone's here, and it's like, no, that's not how it works, it's a hotel, Bear. One thing that I think has been able to help him relax is that we brought his own little bed area that we have at the house normally, his blanket that kind of smells like home to him. We brought his toys and his favorite treats, and I think that's helping him feel a little bit more comfortable, even though he's obviously still pretty anxious, but he's down there taking a nap right now, so you can tell he's doing all right. So if you have a pet, definitely bring as many things as possible to help them feel at home. And my last tip is take advantage of what you have. Most hotels have cool perks, you know, like a pool or a grill or whatever. Find out what your hotel has that you can use because, I mean, if you're gonna be here for a month or however long, you may as well make the most of it. We actually have this kind of like brochure thing that came in our room that was like, oh, look at all the cool things that you can do. And I just read through that on like the first or second day that we were here, and I said, oh, cool, we should do this. Oh, there's a grill, we should definitely use that. You know, I was kind of taking a mental note of what sort of things we can do that maybe we wouldn't have at home. For instance, we don't have a pool, and there's a pool here, and a hot tub. I mean, like I said, I've been trying my best not to treat it like a vacation, so it's not like I'm going to the pool every single day, but it's nice to get out of the room occasionally on the weekends, maybe go down there and relax in the hot tub. The grill is also really nice because our kitchenette doesn't have a ton of resources, so Eric's been really liking going out there and grilling steak and corn and stuff, and that's great because it gives us a little bit more variety than just the things that you can cook in this tiny kitchen, which we've mostly just been doing like tuna helper and soup and like cheap things like that. So it's nice that we get to treat ourselves to something a little bit nicer occasionally. And one thing that I hadn't even thought about was luggage carts. You know, I feel like you think, oh, I'm gonna use a luggage cart like on the day that I move in to bring all my things up. But one thing that we've actually been using it for as well is when we go grocery shopping and we have like 10 bags of groceries, instead of trying to carry them all up to the 3rd floor in our hands, we get a luggage cart. It makes it so much easier to bring all the groceries up in one trip. So yeah, take advantage of the different things your hotel offers. I mean, if you're gonna be here for a long time, you may as well make the most of it. Alright, I hope some of these tips were helpful for you guys. These are just some of the things that I've observed in the past month of living here, things that I thought might be helpful for other people. If you've stayed in an extended stay hotel, even if it's just for like a week, what kind of tips do you have? Share them in the comments below. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and if you want, you can hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!